Yes, and thank you for being patient. I know that yesterday and at least the early part of this morning, everybody has been briefed on the legal supply chain, how things are supposed to be done, how things should be done, very extensively, uh, especially on the supply chain toolkit as well. So my presentation will be just a little different. I will be talking about the world that I come from, which is everything on the criminal syndicate, everything that is done underground. All right? So, the Pharmaceutical Security Institute, PSI, is a not for profit organization. We currently had 40 members, and as of this morning, we now have 41 members. And by my earlier presentation, presenters note that Korean pharmaceutical companies always like to be the first. Maybe we will soon have a first Korean pharmaceutical company on board here as well. Maybe, yeah. And so these members we have been around for almost 25 years. We are based out of DC but have global presence. And what is it that we do? We actually support our members by collecting large amount of intelligence and working with law enforcement agencies. And outside of our members, these are our partners who we work with very closely. If you know that for Interpol, we support Interpol for Operation Pangea. We support World Customs Organization in their operation for Operation Stop, and Europol as well for Operation Shield. We support the USPTO in their capacity training, where they are very active in this part of the world. And of course, outside of that, we also work very closely with the FDA as well. And in Philippines, we have the IPOFIL, which is the Intellectual Property Office. And Philippines is quite unique here because in Philippines, the IPOFIL, under their umbrella, they manage 14 different agencies. Customs, the FDA, the police, among many others. So they are our partner when we want to share intel or when we want to extract intel, right? And you might be wondering, why is a pharmaceutical association, a pharma association, is very close relationship with folks like MasterCard, Shopee or Lazada. Shopee, Lazada are very big e-commerce platforms outside of Korea. I know in Korea you have Coupang, which is very popular, but in Coupang they don't allow you to sell pharmaceuticals. So that's why we have very limited contact with them. And of course with MasterCard, because we monitor a lot of transactions that are being done in e-commerce platforms, which I'll share a bit more later. And when we identify criminal syndicates, we of course then work with MasterCard to collate vast amount of intelligence on such transactions, and we work with our law enforcement partners. This very much depends on which country that we are operating out of or where the criminal syndicate is operating out of. In most cases, they would be the Homeland Security and who would be our direct partners when we are then dealing with the country in concern. I am not going to go very deeply on this because from yesterday everybody has been talking about this on the cough syrup and how, it is impacting. But I want to put this slide in because it also shows how very connected everyone is in terms of the supply chain and in terms of the impact that such an outcome can come out. So this is our latest stats on the impact on the number of incidents. So the number of incidents is what we pick up, which is reported from our members, law enforcement agencies, and of course from our outsourced search as well, right? And just post the COVID pandemic, we also now realize that there were 441 plants identified across 25 countries operating. And these are illegal pharmaceutical manufacturers, right, who just spring up overnight and start giving you medications. So these numbers and these stats actually speak for itself. But over the course in the last few years, we have also identified certain regions, because I don't want to name and shame any country in particular, but now they have specialized in counterfeiting diabetes medication. And this counterfeiting is so phenomenal because now they use AI printing. AI printing on the blister pack, which technically mirrors it. So I was talking to Volker as well yesterday, and we were sharing this. If criminal syndicates can be so good, can the track and trace systems that is adopted across the world combat with this? And in terms of when you're talking about theft cases, Central Asia, where the main form of transportation is the railway system, now criminal syndicates along the route of this track can break into your containers and take out items as well. But how do they go about doing it? On the move 3D printing. So as you can tell, as much as we are having conferences like this, I am sure at some point in time, criminal syndicates are also doing the same. And when everybody's embracing 3D printing, AI printing, they are also doing the same. I won't even go to the part about the pills themselves. Those are really, really, really bad. In the last few years, we have found vaccines that were tested and found to contain rat feces or rat urine. And these were vaccines that were meant for children. Right? And of course, now currently, post-COVID, what is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is how people buy and sell online. Right? And criminal syndicates, again, they look into what kind of products are very fast moving. In some countries, the fastest moving product would be any product that contains paracetamol or Panadol, right? Different names in different countries. But those are used for what? A headache, a body ache, to treat a hangover, anything, right? And of course, on the same note, there are some countries where counterfeit cancer medication is high on the list. Criminal syndicates either make counterfeiting in large numbers to do fast gains, or small batches of oncology, cancer medication, where one time they can make up to 5,000 US dollars, right? So again, it depends on the country and what is the trend adopted by these criminal syndicates. Illegal diversion, I think this is the opposite of your toolkit. And the world, at least in Asia-Pacific region, illegally diverted products is a huge problem. When we talk to drug regulators, after hearing the sad story, all the drug regulators can say is, we do not have the bandwidth, because this is a problem in another universe altogether. But this is also a problem that is very, very close to us. Because you know that when there is a case of an ADR, an adverse drug reaction, drug regulators need to follow up on their post-market surveillance, where they will try to work up the supply chain and to identify the source. And this is where the toolkit comes in very handy. But when these products are illegally diverted, you lose that potential possibility of tracing the source. And as the previous presenters mentioned today, I think it was RX as well, right? Where the main problems come up from, now at least, this I have to name, Turkey. We have noted migration patterns, shipment patterns, everything now surrounding around Turkey. We had several close meetings with very high-ranking officials in Turkey. We had our regional meeting in Turkey as well, just to promote and cultivate these lessons learned. And we have done now close to about 100 test purchases. And the findings are quite scary, because from Turkey, it comes down to Asia, and it goes up to Europe as well. Right? We have now looking at different criminal syndicates setting up shop in Turkey. So one of the PSI runs a number of initiatives. And one of the recent initiatives last year that I ran we run, is initiative called India 2.0. So, okay, so now this is where the surprise comes out. So earlier I mentioned on diabetes medication, that was in India. Criminal syndicates have found how the actual supply chain, I think they must have a copy of the toolkit, right? So they identified exactly how the supply chain works, and they just operate one level lower. If the supply chain hits out to about 1,000 outlets, the criminal syndicates hit out to 10,000 outlets. So we got the members to come on board. Some members came on board, right? 10 members. 10 members, each member coming out to 2 to 3 products. And just to get some sensing on how big the problem is, we tested this operation in both Mumbai and Delhi, right? Then again, some of us, I've been asked, why only Mumbai and Delhi? A lot of people don't know. If you know what is the population of Mumbai, anybody knows the population of Mumbai or Delhi, just without Googling? Anybody? Very close. So Mumbai and Delhi is about 22 and 24 million people. 22, 24 million. That is what? Almost the entire population of Korea? 50 million? Right, this is just 2 cities. Right? So what we did slightly more than 350 test purchases, basically comprising of diabetes medication, oncology medication. We work very closely with our partners in HSI, Homeland Security as well, just to track data. And in the end, we work very closely with the Delhi Crime Branch, who was a phenomenal support in this case. At the end of almost 6 to 7 month operation, after testing all the products, they arrested 10 members of this criminal syndicate, right? We found the warehouses, and most of the details are here as well. So to us, this was a good jumpstart, a good springboard to understand where we are. The next steps, we want to hit out to maybe 5 cities, maybe extend the number of drugs we are looking at, maybe different categories as well. But this is a real challenge again, because, again, we might be successful this time. Will we be successful the next time round? We're not too sure. India came out with their products of 300 listing, 300 products of choice, went out, with a storm. Everybody says, yeah, yeah, yeah. 6 months later, no one heard a whisper. And then they said that the products need to be serialized, need to be track and traced. That burden came on the pharmaceutical companies, right? Not all were our companies, but there were India-based companies as well. And this coming up with track and trace products, this is not a cheap affair. It's something that is quite costly and has to be thought really through as well. And after some time again, nobody spoke about anything. Now, pharma companies have been asking around. We are now made to do this, track and trace, but who's benefiting from it? So the reason why I'm telling this is that there might be supply chain really, that's all there for everybody to use. But I think when we are on the ground testing it, we need to be closely plugged into the ecosystem. And that is a real challenge, especially in a country that is this big like India. Aside from the India 2.0, another initiative that we run is also our disruption effort. And this one is Disruption 2023. So the Pharmaceutical Security Institute is not very creative in branding. So we started this program in 2017, and then it was called Disruption 2017, and then Disruption 2018. Yes, so as I said, we were not very creative in advertisement. So we just kept to the order. So we know that if it's Disruption 2023, it is what it is, 2023. And this is an effort that comes together, right? It's a global monitoring thing where, again, depending on which member wants to come on board, usually it's between 10 to 15 members. Each member comes out of about 3 to 5 products, hot products of their interest. And then we work with our external partner and gather a vast amount of intelligence. right? And this one, 13 members, 52 products. So the next data that you're going to see, just bear in mind, this only concerns 52 products, not 100 or hundreds of products. And of course, with whatever information that we get, we reverse engineer it and then we come back to awareness initiatives. Like we partner with the Philippines. Whatever that we find, and now next year, and maybe with USP as well, we want to hit this out to tertiary institutions, healthcare institutions, and start educating them on the dangers of dubious drugs being sold online. Right? And of course, at the end of the day, we want to have a global collaboration, bring multi-level stakeholders coming together and crippling criminal syndicates. Yes, so this is some of our success rates that we have done. To Koreans here, most of it other than Instagram or Facebook, you might not be aware of the rest, but there are others that are really, really big. Aside from Amazon, the more famous one, but you know, if you're talking about India Mart itself, they have close to about 600 million users. And Lazada, Shopee, they operate out of 10 to 13 countries. JD.com is huge in China. So these are the big platforms that we're talking about, right? And of course, we had some very, very, very good success rates. Those are here. And it is through such operation that we also realized a couple of years ago in Indonesia, where a criminal syndicate was selling over 5 different platforms Ventolin. Anybody knows what's Ventolin? Ventolin is for asthma inhaler. So we did a test purchase, we tested it, found to contain chalk powder. Can you imagine Ventolin having chalk powder? So we worked with our partners, HSI, on this. We reached out to the Indonesian agencies and closed door meeting, and then we carried out an enforcement effort. So when I say we carried out, PSI, who holds a vast amount of data, together with the members, we will package that information, because information itself, we don't give lock, stock, and barrel, but you know, we package that information and we give it to the law enforcement agency for their execution. And it was a good rate, good seizure as well. And some of the good websites that we work with, Google, WordPress, right, and so on and so forth. Again, very good success rate. I wish the next one we hit 95%. But you know, with websites, it's a very, very tricky bit, because you don't know if you're just closing the site or you're closing the page. If it's closing the page, it can very easily come up again. But then again, there's a real challenge in closing sites. One more initiative that we came out with after the COVID pandemic was eCare, which stands for E-Commerce Alliance for a Responsible Ecosystem. By the time you are done for the day, you will forget the full name. But hopefully, you will remember eCare. eCare, I'm very proud of this initiative because we came up with this, spoke to our partners in Interpol, and what we did was, instead of us going to each and every marketplace or social media to voice our concerns, we built an ecosystem where all of us came together. So in this photograph, you will see TikTok Shop, Lazada, Shopee. I'm not sure if Facebook is here. But yeah, so, and with Interpol as well, and Zulik Pharma. We all came together, and now, 2 years on, we have built a system where if there is any suspicious person or syndicate selling on any of our platforms, immediately we can share that information with our partners. And through that, we identify if they are operating on multiple levels, so that then we can work with the law enforcement agencies to carry out effective test purchase. Right? So again, a lot more effort actually needs to be done. Such engagements are really, really good, really welcoming. But in my opinion, at least, having been with PSI, running this route for 7 years, and prior to that, almost 10 years as a regulator with Ruth, what I can say is this: when you are a first world regulator, the expectation and demands from you are rather different. It is fantastic for first world regulators to come out, do a lot of get a lot of awards and accolades and put it on your mantle. But the point is, first world regulators should come together, spearhead initiatives, and showcase what it takes to be a regulator of that standard. We have, at least in Asia, a lot of upcoming FDAs, MOH, Ministry of Health, police, customs, who are all looking forward to learn. And if we can find a way to package and hand this out to them and work together with them, I am sure that we can then drag them along with us as well, right? Okay, and this, in my preference, this is the best slide that I have. I've been told that this is the best slide. I'm not sure why, but yes, so please connect with me. If you have anything, or we can work together as well. I think most of us are all partners here. And even you may be a Korean pharmaceutical company who's keen to be the first Korean pharmaceutical company to become a member. Just saying. All right. Okay, and that's all I have. Thank you very much.